Hey everybody, I'm back in Hong Kong after a week in Vietnam and I have an unboxing. So this is the Vernee V2 Pro. We'll check out the specs really quick on the back. It runs on a Helio P23 chipset. IP68 water and dust resistant apparently. I'll put that to the test. Face ID recognition, 21 and 5 megapixel dual cameras on the back apparently. 6-inch display. 6 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of internal storage, and a 6200 milliamp hour battery. So this phone should last very long, and it seems to be a rugged phone because it has a IP68 water resistant. So we'll take out the phone first, and I'll put it to the side. Okay, very simple packaging. You see everything right off the bat, not a lot of different layers and compartments open up. So you have a dongle, headphone jack to USB-C. You have a power brick. And then you have a USB-C cable. So that is it, I believe. Is there even a SIM ejector tool? You do get a little paper in the back, a little warranty card. So that's it. So no SIM ejector tool here. No case. So this is a little bit bare bones compared to Chinese phones, which usually comes with... Actually, I'm dumb. Sorry, there is a case. So there is a case, but no SIM ejector tool. So let's get to the peeling. Oh. This is nice. The back of the phone is... I can't tell if this is metal yet. I'm gonna check later. Let's peel off the front too, my favorite part. Oh yeah. Actually, there is no case. Okay, sorry. Damn, I got tricked twice. So this is the phone, right? Yeah, so it looks like there's a case on it. It looks like there's this bumper case, but it's not a case. That's because this phone is a rugged phone, so there is no need for a case, I guess. Right off the bat, you see the display? It actually curves a little bit. I like this. Because usually a lot of the budget Chinese phones I test, the panel is completely flat. Because, obviously it's cheaper to just put a flat panel on, like basically on top of all your motherboard and on your backplate and all that, instead of this is a slightly curved display. It's subtle. And then you have these bumpers here around the corner. And you have right here the USB-C port with a tab. So this is a waterproof tab that covers up the phone. So where do you even put in your SIM tray? Okay, you don't need a SIM ejector tool because you probably just open up. Yeah. You can take the SIM tray out with your fingers, so you don't need a SIM ejector tool. So apologies to Vernee for saying that you're not giving us a SIM ejector tool or case, because this phone doesn't need either. So I'm gonna power on the device. I'm gonna set everything up. I'm gonna take it outside, play around with it, and then I will be back. This seems like a pretty unique phone, because usually rugged phones are made of leather. This one seems to be made of metal. Hey guys, I'm back. Played with the Vernee V2 Pro for about half a day. So I quite like this phone. So first of all, I like the design. It's a little bit different from all the other rugged Chinese phones that I test. All of those phones, they all look like they came out of the assembly line. They're all like clones of each other. They all have that kind of really heavy, thick bumpers with either a leather back or like a Kevlar style back. So first of all, I like that this phone looks a little bit different. Vernee thought outside the box. It doesn't look like it's just a complete clone of all the other 15 rugged phones out there. So this back, upon further testing, I believe this is plastic. But it feels nice though. It doesn't feel like a cheap plastic. It feels a little bit like metal, but it's not, I don't think. The sides of the phone, this material is quite interesting. It feels metal to me, but Vernee's calling this like magnesium. I've never heard of this metal before. I don't know if this is a random ass name that Vernee came up with, like Marvel did with adamantium or vibranium. I don't know. So this might be just something like that, or it could be like the strongest metal on Earth in Wakanda or something. So anyway, it does feel very sturdy. This phone is IP68 rated, so it's dust and water resistant. You can leave this phone underwater for up to 30 minutes at up to, I believe, 3 feet without issue. So you can't go scuba diving with it, though. You can't go too far down. So another thing I really like about this phone is, even though this phone has bumpers, the bumpers are not so thick that it gets in the way of the charging cable. So a lot of the rugged phones I test, you actually cannot charge the phone with a standard phone cable because the bumper protrudes out so much that you need to use the cable that comes with that phone. So that means you only get one. If you lose it, then you're screwed. You have to go buy another one from the website or something. With this one, any type of USB-C cable will actually work because the bumper doesn't stick out so far that you need a longer plug. So I really like that. This phone, so even though it's rugged, it's still not that bulky a phone. Okay, so I just checked. This phone's battery is actually 6,200 milliamp hour. And while I'm at it, I might as well read off the specs. So you have a 6-inch Full HD display, so that's a little bit more than 1080p. The phone has a 21 megapixel camera on the back with a 5 megapixel second camera. The second camera I'll get into later. It seems to be not quite fake, but not quite legit. I'll explain more later. And the octa-core Helio P23 chipset that has been performing absolutely fine for average smartphone use, such as going on Instagram, Gmail, all of that. But when I play games, especially graphic intensive games such as Tekken and Breakneck, the phone did suffer from a little bit of frame rate stutters, and Tekken actually froze up on me a couple of times. But I kept playing it, and it actually, so it did run without problems, maybe like 80% of the time, but every now and then there will be issues, but nothing super major. So this phone runs Android 8.1, and as you can see, it's a pretty bare bones software. It's a swipe up to bring up the app tray app system, which I like, but there's a stupid button again that you cannot get rid of. So this is just like a bug in this skeleton Android software that Vernee purchased in China. So as I explained before, if you want to run Android, you have to use an Android system that has been verified by Google. So like more proper companies such as Samsung or Huawei will go about acquiring the Android system from Google officially. But to do that, you have to pay like these hefty fees, like Google charges an arm and a leg or something. So these smaller Shenzhen brands will find a loophole. They will acquire a Android system from a third party, a Chinese third party. And the software is still legit. It's not like a fake Android or whatnot. It's still a legit Android, but it's usually an older build that's tested at a verified Google Labs, but in China instead of in the US. So that means it's still a real Android, but it's not the most official up-to-date version. And that is why there's these things like this stupid button that you can't get rid of, and this stupid Google search bar that you can't get rid of. You can get rid of these in virtually all the other official Android phones other than the Google Pixel 2. But the good thing is there's not a lot of bloatware on this. So let's talk a little bit more about the battery life. So we have a 6,200 milliamp hour battery. I ran a test on PC Mark. That's the test I usually run, which runs the phone through heavy processes from 80% to 20% and see how long the phone lasts. And I grabbed a screenshot of the results because the stupid PC Mark app always has problems loading up the results again. And it lasted 13 hours 51 minutes. So that's pretty good. But a little bit less than what I expected, because I'll give you an example. On a phone with a 4,000 milliamp battery, such as the Huawei P20 Pro, it's able to last about 8-9 hours. So this phone supposedly has an extra 2,000 milliamp battery. So that's almost 50% more capacity, but the battery life did not last 50% more. It just lasted about 4 hours more than the Huawei P20 Pro. So now I think it's because the software is not as optimized. So maybe that's why. So 13 hours, 51 minutes, it's a little bit disappointing for a phone with a 6,200 milliamp hour battery. If you remember, I tried the Unifone Power 5, and that phone was able to last 34 hours on this test with a 13,000 milliamp battery. So this is a little bit less than what I expected, but still really good. And to be honest, that's good enough already, because I think those other phones, the battery is almost like too big. Because why do you need 10,000 milliamp hour or 13,000 milliamp hour? You only need that in the most extreme situation, and that's when you're like going hiking going up to the Death Valley to camp for like 6 days or something. Otherwise, for most normal people, you don't need a phone to last you like 4 days. You only need a phone that lasts you at least one full day onto the next. And for that, this phone matches what I need. The 6-inch display, it's decent. It's not the most vibrant or brilliant display out there, but its color accuracy is pretty decent. A little bit on the warm side, but not too bad. So this is a decent screen. I can't say it's great, but it's not bad. Not bad for this price range. This is $260. You'll notice that Instagram stories cannot stretch to the full screen because you cannot get rid of the navigation buttons. So these navigation buttons are always there. You cannot hide them. You go into settings, it's very bare bones. There is virtually no gestures. So no double tap to turn off the screen, no like draw a circle to launch your camera, absolutely none of that. But this phone does have some hardware features. So you have a heart rate sensor on the back. That's because this phone is obviously a kind of like a inspired by the Galaxy S9 Active. Like, it's for the rugged outdoorsy person. So this phone has a heart rate sensor and it actually works. So you just have to put your finger over the heart rate sensor right here, hit start, and then it will measure my heartbeat. And I actually did this test already, and I compared my heartbeat to the results from the Apple Watch, which is pretty accurate. Apple Watch's heart rate measure is pretty accurate, and the Vernee V2 Pro measured a heart rate that's close enough. So you see right now, my heart is beating at 88 beats per minute, which is not healthy. It's a little bit too high. I think maybe I need to like stop eating so much fatty food or something and just work out a little bit more. 88 beats per minute, it's not too healthy, but granted, I am kind of active right now, shooting a video in hot ass Hong Kong right now. So everything about this phone, performance is pretty solid. There's 6 gigs of RAM. I have not encountered hiccups. Let's go into the camera now. So as mentioned earlier, the camera, I can't quite tell if the second camera is real or fake. I think it is a real depth sensor. I'm just not sure it's an actual camera because you can cover the second lens and then go into bokeh mode, which is blur, but you really don't see much difference when my finger's covering the second lens. But at the same time, the bokeh seems to be a little bit more than just that fake circular blur. So let's bring out Groot, the secret MVP of Infinity War. So we'll bring out the blur. So first of all, there is facial tracking on this phone, and it's actually surprisingly fast. So you see right now I'm moving the phone and it's actually following Groot's face. So that's pretty impressive for a budget phone. So now we'll go into the blur. You have to manually tap to lock on the Groot, and then after that you can adjust the blur here. And you actually see the blur, the edge detection, it's decent. It actually does kind of find its way around Groot's weird ass hair, but then the blur kind of messes up a little bit towards the bottom of his feet and also this leather pouch. So I'm inclined to believe that this is an actual depth sensor, but it's a mediocre one, so it does enough of a job to tell the difference between the subject and the background, but not quite fully. So it's not quite a real actual bokeh shot, at least not like something like a Elephone U Pro, which has a legit second camera. So the camera app, it's pretty bare bones. You have filters right here on the button, and then you have these modes such as Face Beauty, Mono, Panorama, and Pro. In Pro, unfortunately, when you switch like ISO and stuff, you don't see the difference in lighting, but you do see the difference in color temperature, which helps. And now the selfie camera, it's also weirdly, the button to use the selfie camera is located on the top, and that's one of my biggest complaints with these phones, because you can't reach that button if you're using it for one hand, right? So if you want to take a selfie now, you have to use your second hand to tap the button. So after that, this is a selfie camera. So here's some photo samples. So in general, dynamic range is pretty poor, again, as is expected from all these phones. But the shutter speed is also a little bit slow, and you see overexposure right here completely in the sky. But not too terrible a camera. This is serviceable for Instagram. So this is another selfie. Selfie camera is actually pretty decent. This phone also has face unlock, so I'll show you really quick. Power on the phone. tilt it to my face, and it locks in about a second. So a bit longer than, say, something like a OnePlus 6, but it does work. And I tried it on my girlfriend. She wasn't able to unlock the phone with her face, which is good news. The fingerprint reader is pretty fast. So half a second for the fingerprint reader, I want to say. Face unlock about a second. So now we'll go into a video test. So you know all about the video test that I have to go into a K-pop video, right? Part of this is because, okay, I admit they look damn good, so I want to go into it. But two, it's because K-pop videos aren't copyrighted. So if I play a K-pop video, I won't get a copyright warning. But if I play, say, Beyonce or Taylor Swift or Kanye West, I will get an email later from the stupid record company saying, hey, you can't play that in your video. So okay, so you are able to stretch to fill out the video. This is 50% volume right now. Let's fast forward in this video, get to the color part. So single bottom fine speaker, very easily muffled. That's because of this bumper too. So just like that, you can't hear anything. 50%. So we'll go up to 100%. 100% volume. So you have very flat sounds, zero, basically no bass, but at least it gets pretty loud. And no distortion. So yeah, you notice the colors are a little bit on the warm side, a little bit muted. This video is a little bit more vibrant on other phones. Okay, so that's about it for now. This is the Vernee V2 Pro. It's available for $260 on GearBest right now, or on Vernee's official website. So if you're on the market for a rugged phone, I think this is worth checking out because I think this phone's a little bit sleeker. It's a little bit nicer design than the other rugged phones. It's actually kind of usable with one hand. You know, most of the other rugged phones are really, really bulky. And again, the battery life doesn't last you too long. 6,200 milliamp, about 14 hours of screen on time with the PC Mark test. So that means this phone will probably only last you about 2 days. So you can't go 3-4 days with this like you would with other phones. But again, who needs to go 3-4 days nowadays? 2 days is good enough. Thanks for watching.